a four-part series. ARTisTALK will feature theater and performance artist scholars known both locally and internationally, engaging in a roundtable discussion focusing on their expertise, the current trends in theater, and their careers as artists and scholars. This is ARTisTALK 2021.
To everyone in attendance, most especially to our speakers who have gracefully accepted our invitation to be here for the ARTisTALK series episode on theater praxis and theater practices. My name is Tess, and I'll be serving as one of this episode's moderators.
Hello to everyone as well. I'm Eric Villanueva de la Cruz, and I will also serve as one of your moderators for this episode.
So welcome to ARTisTALK 2021. It's a very interesting play with words. Art is talk and artist talk. So it's time to talk about art, theater arts, and the performing arts in particular. With the upcoming 40th anniversary of the Master of Arts Theater Arts Program, or MATA, in August, the Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts has organized a series of activities to celebrate the program's achievements, as well as to look into the challenges and the program has encountered and looking forward to future opportunities. I wish to congratulate the organizers of MATA at 40, led by Assistant Professor Brian Viray, the MATA coordinator, together with our MA students, and in partnership with the UP System Office of International Linkages, UP Diliman Office for Initiatives in Culture and the Arts, the College of Arts and Letters, and UP Cineasts Studio. ARTisTALK 2021 will feature theater and performance artist scholars, known both locally and internationally, engaging in a roundtable discussion focusing on their expertise, the current trends in theater, and their careers as artists and/or scholars. The invited speakers include artist scholars from leading international universities and academic institutions like the Juilliard School and Yale University, and will also feature our very own graduates and current students of the program who have established themselves in their respective fields. ARTisTALK 2021 will have 4 episodes every Saturday starting May 8th. Make sure to mark your calendars. We all miss going to the theater, but through these talks, we bring the theater to you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the ARTisTALK series 2021. This is a project from the Department of Speech, Communication, and Theater Arts. And we are so very proud of the team that organized this. And I would like to give a shout out to Professor Brian Viray, who is the leading figure in this project. The ARTisTALK series is a four-part program that will feature theater and performance artist scholars, where they will be engaging in roundtable discussion. And we are so very proud that we have 21 artist scholars who will be participating in this project. And what is this for? Yes, this is for our MA Theater Arts Program 40th anniversary. We are very happy to welcome the art scholars who are participating in this project. Thank you for sharing your ideas, sharing your insights on different topics, on different fields of study. And we also welcome the audience. We hope that our students and other students will join us in this wonderful endeavor. I think you're going to really learn from this Artist Talk series. I think that not only students in theater or those who love theater, but also other students who might want to take, younger students who might want to take up theater in the future. Okay, so again, welcome to the Artist Talk 2021. Mabuhay!
Good day to our guest panelists, moderators, and most of all, to our virtual audience members. I welcome you to the 40th year anniversary of the MA Theater Arts program. The institution of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts program was an idea initiated by Professor Emeritus Antonio Mabesa 40 years ago, according to Professor Amiel Leonardia. A graduate program would be the natural offshoot of the certificate and BA programs which were being offered during that time. Professor Mabesa, Professor Leonardia, and Mr. Chris Vertido agreed on the plans to propose a graduate program in theater arts. This decision was guided by their vision for a Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts to be the leading department in theater art studies in the Philippines. We are very fortunate that their vision has persisted for 40 years now. This is a powerful proof of the significant part of theater education, not only in UP, but to the Philippine society in general. ARTisTALK 2021 and MATA Gathering are two of the main exciting activities from May to August this year, which the DSCTA will convene and host in an effort to share with its current students, faculty, alumni, and its potential students the milestones and challenges of the last 40 years of the MATA program while looking forward to future opportunities. We express our utmost gratitude to Professor Mabesa, Professor Leonardia, and Mr. Vertido as proponents and initiators of the MA Theater Arts program for their bold vision and undeterred courage. We also thank the past and current theater graduate faculty members who have dedicated their services to the department and assured the continuance of the MATA program. Finally, we thank our alumni and current students, our primary stakeholder. Your commitment to the discipline of theater and performance studies guarantees the next 40 years of our program. Muli, maraming salamat po.
So for tonight, before we begin, allow us to offer a brief introduction of our speakers for this episode, who are all students of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts on the Theater Praxes track.
I think it's time we meet our speakers. First one is Mr. Paul Alexander Morales. He's a dancer, choreographer, theater director, and independent filmmaker. He is a graduate of the UPBA Theater Arts program and was a scholar at Diliman Center for Movement and Dance in London, where he earned a diploma in dance theater. He has served as artistic director for Dela Air Dance, Ballet Philippines, and Guangming College. Among his works are the original ballets Crisostomo Ibarra and Simone, plays including Ang Paulit-ulit na Pagguhit ng Bilog, and the films Carga, Mano, and Concerto. Let's all welcome Mr. Paul Alexander Morales.
Our second speaker is Fred Layno. He's a freelance theater and film actor. And he was recently part of Dulang UP's Nana Rosa under the direction of Josefina Estrella. And Fuente Overhuna, the last production of the late Sir Tony Mabesa. He previously played the leading man in Dulang UP's 6 Characters in Search of an Author, also directed by Sir Tony. He is currently a lecturer in the University of the Philippines, Mindanao. Hi, Fred.
Hi. Our third speaker is Mr. Melvin Lee. Mr. Melvin Lee joined PETA through its youth arm, the Metropolitan Teen Theater League, or MTTL, and through the years, became one of the company's outstanding senior artist teachers. As an actor, Melvin appeared in numerous PETA productions, the most recent of which is Care Divas, where he won the Outstanding Male Performer in a Musical in the 2011 PhilStage Gawad Boy Awards. He was also part of DUP's Bilanggo ng Pag-ibig, Tisoy Brown, Hari ng Wala, and Divinas Palabras. His most recent directorial work includes PETA's Night Mother, which was hailed as the 2017 Gawad Buhay Best Play, and Under My Skin. Apart from being an actor and teacher, Melvin is also the current Theater Center Program Director, while dabbling as an assistant director for TV commercials and film. Let's all welcome Mr. Melvin Lee.
Gandang araw po.
Hi, Sir Melvin.
And last but not the least, Iris Montesclaros finished her undergrad at the University of Santo Tomas, where she was an active member of Teatro Tomasino, the guild that was her artistic home until 2018. She also finished a year-long diploma course in acting at the International Academy of Film and Television in Cebu. She is experienced in content writing and production work and is presently a freelance actor, content specialist, project manager, and podcast host. Her theater credits include Kung Paano Maghiwalay, Para Kay B, Kasaray Duma at Dulang UP's Ang Tahanan Ni, The House of Bernarda Alba, and Nana Rosa. Let's all welcome Iris Montesclaros.
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, I think today's discussion is going to be exciting and insightful. So let's start with our first question.
So our panelists, as we see, are all practitioners in the field of theater and performing arts. But for the benefit of our audience, can you please tell us what sparked your interest in pursuing a career in such a challenging field? Anyone who wants to start? Age ba to? Hindi. Hindi. So let's ask Sir Paul Morales.
Mahirap po yung tanong. It's hard to situate really what, I guess, an interest, also a passion for it. And our life, I guess, leads us to where we float. So in my case, yung personal experiences and maybe an innate desire to dance around and also to create performances, tell stories.
Ako naman, parang dumating dun sa point na parang hindi na sapat yung I was yearning for more in terms of learning, yung gano'n, no? So parang tapos there was a time like pre-pandemic, I was handling the artist teachers training of PETA. So parang na-realize ko sa sarili ko, paano yun? Paano ka mag-lead ng isang company in charge of their training kung ikaw mismo parang hilaw yung kaalaman or parang hindi pa sapat. So nung natapos ko finally ang aking undergraduate dahil ako po ay naghuminto sa pag-aaral for 26 years and I only finished my undergraduate ng 2016. So doon ko din na-realize na why not pursue an MA, and then tapos parang hindi na rin pwedeng sapat na we're jack of all trades and then we're not, we need to specialize at one point. So parang yun na nga, dahil na rin sa mga naging karanasan, whether that's in theater, in advertising, or parang it came to a point that I needed to focus and specialize at some point.
Yes, but how did you start in theater, in performance? 26 years ago or even more,
Oh,
maybe.
that was 1982. I was just, everything was just an accident. I was a third year high school student sa Ramon Magsaysay, Manila. And then klase ko si Angie Cantero. Si Angie Cantero was already a member of the Metropolitan Teen Theater League. And during that time, merong binubuong musical ng ang Metropolitan Teen Theater League, yung Samperang Muta, na sinulat ni ang yumaong Rene Villanueva at dinirect ni Miss Ces Quesada. So, meron silang binubuong production and then they needed young people to be part of it. So yun yung aking unang-unang sabak at wala akong hinuha na ganito yung magiging career. So I just went and then sa sa Heritage Arts Center sa may Lantana pa yung opisina ng MTN, doon nag-workshop, doon nagre-rehearse. So I just went and then yun, nagsimula na. At ang unang-una kong task sa theater ay na kabilang ako sa music pool nung production na yon kasi original songs composed by different artists ng music pool, tapos ang pinaka musical director noon was Sir Chino Toledo. Tapos ang concept ni Sir Chino, junk materials ang mga instrument. So ako si payat na payat, ang na-assign sa aking instrument ay hulaan ninyo. Bote ng mga soft drinks na may tubig. So ako ito taga-ihip. Yun. So yun yung unang production sa PETA, sa theater. Yun.
At diretso na yon. Kamusta naman sina Fred and Iris? Paano kayo naumpisa sa theater?
Well, siguro out of all the panelists for tonight or today, ako siguro yung wild card or pinaka newbie. Pero I started my interest in performing and theater in general when I was still in my undergrad years. I took up creative writing sa UP Mindanao, where I'm teaching now, and one of our coursework was playwriting and also Shakespeare. So we had to actually stage plays as well, although in a lab setup. My very first acting experience was playing the part of Petruchio sa The Taming of the Shrew for our Shakespeare class, and also I had the chance to write and stage a play as well, and also acted for it. And from then on, I had sort of played around with the idea that I may be able to pursue a career in acting eventually. So medyo pipe dream siya for a long time for me until recently.
Until now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Until now.
Iris?
For me, it wasn't like one moment where it was sparked. In my high school years, I was that girl who was consistently in declamation contests, in stage plays. And at one point, and I think this is very important then for educators to hear. I had one teacher who always followed and mentored me along the way when I was in declamation contests. They were nowhere close to a stage production. But I took that thing very seriously, and I think she saw that, and I clearly remember that moment as clear as day na when she set me aside after one practice session after school, and she said, "You should do this." Akala ko parang maybe she meant do this as a hobby, do this as something as parang if others are doing sports, I should be doing drama. But she clarified that I should be doing it as my future job. And that to me, I didn't have the right words in my vocabulary except the word artista. And looking the way I look, especially back then, morena, chubby, and short, I didn't fit the conventional beauty that I know artista look like in the Philippines. But I always held on to that um, belief of that teacher of mine in me, that she told me I should do this. And then that was put to sleep in undergrad because I followed my parents' wishes when it came to my undergrad. And then it was reawakened when I joined the University Guild of UST, which was Teatro Tomasino. And at one point, probably after a year or two of being a member of that guild, I just suddenly had that moment during a really difficult rehearsals where someone was already crying, the usual rehearsals na there's already someone crying, the director is yelling and all that. But in my head, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I was maybe condescendingly looking at everyone like, you look at this as a hobby, as a college hobby, but this is something I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. Like that I think that was both a curse and a blessing, because it was an epiphany. Discovering that what you want to do for the rest of your life is a blessing, but it's also a curse, because no matter how much you try to deviate from that towards a more lucrative career or the undergrad that you took, something pulls you back. Something will always remind you in your head that you said to yourself, this is what you're meant to do. And that's what sparked my push even in me into this career path.
From the time that you guys started in this career, and up until now, it seems that you have quite an extensive experience in the field. But can you share with us briefly what are you currently focusing on in terms of practice, if there is a concentration?
Yung sa akin, parang ngayon ang nagiging focus is directing, no? Because again, dahil din sa mga assignment at opportunities din na dumarating na binibigay ng PETA. So ngayon, directing, parang parang hindi na masyado na akong matanda para umarte, para gano'n. Kasi masakit na sa mga balakang at saka sa gano'n. Yung ang rigorous kasi, 'di ba, ng yung everyday preparation para umarte, nakaka-consume 'yon ng pagkatao para lang makapagbigay palagi ng isang maayos na performance. So yun, ang nagiging concentration ay aside from managing a department in PETA, ay mag-focus sa pagdidirect.
In terms of my career, if I look back on it, talagang majority of the work I've done is as artistic director. And by choice talaga yun, kasi yung Dulaan Talier, our first company, kasama ko si Tess, parang ginawa talaga namin para makagawa kami. Ganun kami ka-determined. We put up our own company to do the work that we wanted to do. And I've worked independent, you could say establishment at the CCP, and also in the academic circle. But aside from that, I really consider myself, I don't know, as a writer or filmmaker, so a director, in the sense that I do want to continue developing, creating stuff. Ganun. So yung interesting para sa akin, like in our studies recently about dramaturgy, the dramaturgical aspect that's always been part of artistic direction. I didn't really have a name for that, no. Ngayon ko lang ganun pala yun, ginagawa pala namin siya. We have to, right, to make your works. So that's a new learning for me. Siyempre ngayon kasi for the pandemic, it's really, I mean, everything has stopped. It's been a big surprise. It's a good opportunity to sort of reflect also and to consider what, if we're given a chance to come back. I know theater is resilient, it will come back, no? Pero how long, it's hard to speculate. So paano natin siya mababalikan. Pero yung film, pwede natin siyang gawin, yung writing. So it's something na, at saka doon din tayo papunta, diba, sa interactive theater as film or as broadcast. So in that sense, medyo nagko-connect yun. And I think because of our present realities, we really have to see that and somewhat work also in those media.
The current training that I've amassed throughout the years was mostly performance for acting and um, devising performances. But I want to go back as well to writing more plays, and also probably to dabble in dramaturgy as well, more to doing more dramaturgy work, which was something that I was sort of enamored lately because especially since we're sort of transitioning to online, and I felt that it requires a lot of dramaturgical work because there are a lot of it's still very raw, it's still very new, and it requires a lot of trial and errors, and requires a lot of dramaturgical work as well. So I'm sort of excited as well. While we're still in this pandemic, why not try to look into some breakthroughs, I guess, or new ways of performing.
Much like Fred, I'm really focused on performance, on acting, but I'm also pulled into that direction wherein I also want to be more confident in writing scripts, especially now that there is a void for female written narratives, and of course opportunities for actresses. So if there's no opportunity for yourself, then make an opportunity for yourself, as we are taught in UP. Aside from acting and also being able to write stories, scripts, plays, I'm also very interested in becoming an actor's coach. Since there are very few here in this country, I see that this is something that is common in Western countries, and I think there's a huge opportunity for that here. And yeah, so that's my focus for my theater practice.
Ay nasagot na ni Melvin more or less bakit siya bumalik sa pag-aaral after 26 years. How about the others? Why did you decide to go back? Go back to the academy, and also why take masters in theater?
For me, it's because my undergrad wasn't even in the humanities. I'm a registered nurse. I graduated nursing in UST, and I was that nurse student who's living a double life. Na, from duty, I go to the dorm, I shower, then I get into rehearsal clothes, and then I go back to UST to rehearse. Of course, that didn't give me the formal foundation for theater. So, what happened for the next 10 years, 8 to 10 years, since I joined the Teatro Tomasino, is I practically forced myself in spaces where I didn't belong. So I just auditioned and auditioned for roles until I got them, and another and another and another. And it was just me basically trying to gain experience and learning on the job. And when I finally was able to have an opportunity to get some more structured training in acting in Cebu, which I took, it also parang planted something in me na, yes, I do understand some, some theories and also schools of thought on acting, but it is different when you're in a professional setting, in a production where when you hear the dramaturg talks and the director, and somehow you're lost. And I didn't want to feel that just because I didn't have the right undergrad for it. And also because nursing for me was not a bad experience, but it was something that I had to finish. It was something that There were grades I had to fulfill. There was a board exam I had to pass. There were a lot of had tos. And I remember in my interview for MA theater in UP, I actually clearly told the panel that I want to study for learning's sake. Like I don't want to study for the grades. I actually now this is my opportunity to study what I want and just learn. Like without having the pressure of, chasing a grade. Although I don't undermine the value of grades, but yeah, that's why I returned to school and take up my MA in theater after several years of practicing as an actress, and I wanted to have the right fundamentals of theater and the understanding of the world of it.
Yeah, sounds familiar. We actually have something in common. I also graduated in UST. I'm a licensed physical therapist.
Okay.
So almost the same story, actually.
For me, what my idea really was to be able to get back into campus because I miss walking under the trees. That was parang ganun yung thought. And also, I guess some sort of sabbatical because I've had so ang raming nangyari sa buhay ko and very quickly, and so many organizations and histories. Also because it's really the desire for learning, and I always say and try to internalize, it's really about better service, how you can serve like as a nationalist your country or your fellow sentient beings, how to be able to where you are at, like especially as a director or as a teacher, diba? Pag nagtuturo ka. So for me, learning is really lifelong, and I enjoy it. I would have considered other courses because I'm interested naman. If there was a creative MA for film, for example, or dance or choreography here, I would consider that. But I had a very good career from what I learned in UP despite the difficulties ng aking undergraduate. Si Tony yung aming advisor, no? So talagang parang piniga niya kami. Also, pinagbawalan niya ako mag-masters sa UP. Sabi niya, huwag ka dito mag-masters, kailangan abroad ka mag-masters. Pero medyo nagawa ko naman sa London. So siguro papayag na siya. And also, yun nga, it's just really nice to be back in the academia. I wanted a sabbatical. I didn't know how much. Minsan parang na-wish ko ba to? Na 2 years na ganito lang yung gagawin natin. I did prepare all my paperwork. I was really planning to do that. We were touring a show early in the beginning of the year, so we were abroad. Pagdating namin dito lockdown na, tapos biglang, pasok na. And it's all Zoom, not really what you expect. But the intellectual stimulation and the things that we are discussing and the avenues that you're forced to reconsider, it's edifying experience so far.
Yeah, I think it's similar to all of our panelists. No, the desire to go back to graduate school is more of something for themselves. No,
Yeah.
there's something. I agree. There's something grounding about the surroundings of the UP campus. Actually, ang sarap-sarap talaga maglakad actually at mamalagi sa campus.
Yun ang hindi ko pa na-achieve, di ba? Inaantay ko pa kaya tayo magkapasa sa campus.
Na nga eh.
Sorry.
Yes, Sir Melvin.
Dagdag lang, hindi lang siya para sa sarili, but katulad ng sinabi ni Paul, you're doing it kasi alam mong you belong to a community.
Yeah.
Na kailangan mong in a way pagsilbihan or because you're part of it, so you want to give something to that community.
Okay.
Right.
That's right.
But I have an example na. So last semester I did one course on Philippine drama. So Apo Chua challenged me to write about professional theater, an industry that I know well. And looking at our parang journals and all of that, hindi pa masyado na pag-uusapan sa Philippine setting. So makikita mo rin yung divide ng practice and academic parang what we have. And yun nga, katulad ng sabi ni Melvin, paano natin matutulungan to? Partly by writing about it, by thinking about it, and then seeing it perhaps with this different lenses like critical theory, mas nakakatulong sa atin sa ma-offer natin as a work, but also maybe as a process, as a practice.
Dagdag din, parang we were, di ba, dati kami ang mga dating mga bagets, di ba? Yung gano'n, di ba? Ngayong panahon na ito, parang nasa amin ngayon yung pasan namin yung konting responsibilidad to make the theater, like I will speak for myself, the company, PETA for that matter, to be afloat, to thrive, and yung ganon. So paano ka, yun nga katulad na nabanggit ko kanina, paano ka magbibigay kung kulang ka rin. So kaya kinailangan na siguro nga panahon na mag-aral, talagang magbasa ulit, yung ganon. Tapos parang hindi na lang puro practice, kung hindi nakikita mo na rin yung saysay ng practice, anong pinanggalingan ng practice, anong teorya ang nakabalot sa practice na yon, so on.
Okay. But when you decided to go back, is there something that you're apprehensive about or continues to be a source of dread while in the program?
Ako yung student number lang ng mga classmate ko. Tapos sometimes the student number of my teachers. Yun lang naman, it's a little daunting. Parang wow. It is really fun in a sense. Kasi I was when we were kids in UP, ang babata namin, when we were 15, freshman na ako sa UP. No? So ngayon naman, andun ako sa opposite spectrum. So okay siya. Ibang perspective yung nakikita mo.
Akala professor ka na.
For the fear of sounding vapid, one thing that intimidates me until now, maybe until I finish my program, is the fear of sounding stupid among my classmates. Especially, for example, there are a lot of subjects where I have more experienced classmates, and like Sir Melvin, Sir Paul, Ma'am Tess, and a lot of those sessions I am mostly quiet. Not because I feel pathetic or whatever, but it's just that I'm trying to absorb everything that is being said. And also there is this pressure. It's a good kind of pressure in the MA program because you're expected to be a master at the end of it, where you're expected to give your input and also be able to engage. And in some way, for me, my insecurity when it comes to being an MA theater student is maybe my lack of confidence in the vocabulary that I possess when it comes to theatrical, terms, academic terms, when it comes to theater. But then I know that I had to overcome that by reading more and also not be afraid in engaging in conversations with my classmates and my teachers as well. So yeah, that's it sounds very superficial, but that's one thing that is very that made me very apprehensive going into MA Theater Arts, especially since I came from a different world prior to entering MA Theater.
At the very beginning, there were a lot of apprehensions now already because, originally I was from Davao City, where there were only a few opportunities to be a performer, or there were even almost no theater groups where I'm from, and I thought that it was impossible for me to be an actor in Davao City, and probably laughable even. It's not almost a viable career option. So, well, after I graduated, I sort of the thought of moving to Manila, pursuing a second degree was almost crazy. But so I worked instead with other career jobs. I worked as a teacher and as a call center agent, and that lasted for about 7 years. But I joined these workshops, and from then, and I also was lucky enough to be part of a teleserye in Davao City. I mean, a teleserye in GMA, but it was shot in Davao City. So that was when I started to think that, I could turn this into a professional career, and it's not something like, like something very juvenile, like joining a reality competition or stuff. It needs to be studied, and doon nawala lahat ng mga apprehensions ko, and that's when I started applying to UP. But of course, right now my interests branched out from acting, and from acting to now theater studies even, and I mean other theater branches and focuses. And also, probably right now, ang main apprehension ko is, or main source of dread, is the creative project. the prospect of doing a creative project. Kasi yun ang career, yun ang magiging final output namin. And right now, it's my third year, so I'm due to doing it possibly next year. So right now, I'm sort of it's really my main source of dread, how to do it, especially since we're living in a pandemic, and there are a lot of practical concerns like getting funding, doing field work, getting collaborators in spite of health protocols. But siguro once I'm finally able to do it, I think that the feeling might change from dread to excitement.
Yeah.
And Kuya Melvin?
Ako naman, nung pumasok ako talaga dito, sabi ko, bakit mo ito pinasok? Hindi naman ako marunong magsulat. Ang Waterloo ko, pagsusulat ng mga, yung talagang just, I dread the day. Oh my God. Ang first subject ko pa, si Sir Unreal. Yung, oh my God, paano ba ito magsulat? Iba naman ng ibang language at ibang discipline ng academic writing. So yung talagang Waterloo ko when I entered. So, tapos, so dahil you went out of your comfort zone. Kinonfront mo yung fear mo. Edi dahan-dahan na nawawala yung ganyan. Hindi naman na yung dahil sa ang dami-dami mong binabasa. Yung talagang sabi ko sa sarili ko after ng first semester, alam mo, kota na po ako sa lahat ng babasahin sa world. Parang okay na ako this year. Parang ganon. Pero dahil kasama yon, kailangan mo talagang magbasa. At eventually, dahan-dahan, na-enjoy ko na siya na yung nagbabasa ka ng mga mahihirap na mga academic papers na ano daw? Parang kailangan yung isang article minsan 3 beses mong uulitin kasi para lang tama ba yung pagkakaintindi ko, yung ganon. O kaya or meron mga parts na parang lumipad na yung utak mo, so kailangan mong balikan yung binabasa mo, yung gano'n. So yun yung kinakatakutan ko noon na bilang laki naman tayo sa teatro, lahat ng mga mahihirap at nakakatakot, hinaharap natin, di ba? So sige, fight. Pero meron talagang point na Melvin Lee, bakit mo ito ginagawa? Kailangan mo ba talaga ito? Sa dami pa ng mga ginagawa mo at responsibilidad mo sa kumpanya at sa ano. So yun. So pero mga pagkakataon na ayoko na po. Ito na po ang last semester ko. Hindi ko na po kaya sa dami ng mga gawain at responsibilidad. So pero ayun, kahit pa isa-isang subject kada sem, tapos nagka-pandemic pa, di ba? So parang mag-full load, ang daming mga ganap sa hindi ko kakayaning mag-full load. So kaya kahit isang subject kada sem, sige, ilaban natin ito. Kasi wala naman tayong, di ba, tayo naman sa teatro, wala naman tayong sinisimulan na hindi tinatapos. Kahit pa abutin niya ng isang century.
Ilang taon.
Ayun.
Correct.
Pero di ba, parang muscle din yung reading. Parang lumalakas yung the more that you read, the more you get used to it. Pero yung writing, iba rin pinag-usapan namin ni Eric, iba rin yung writing.
Pero may mga writer talaga, Tess, na ayaw mong pabasa . Sinulat mo pa, ayaw mong pabasa sa Ayaw mong paintindi.
Sabihin ka, diyan
May
ka
mga
muna.
ganun talaga.
Di ba? Pwedeng ganun. Diyan ka muna, babalik ako sa'yo. So dahil nga sa pag-aaral nyo ngayon ng teorya, ng dramaturgy, ano pa ba yung mga advanced acting siguro, at saka iba pa mga courses sa MA program. Do you see yourself being taken to a particular direction, or that you would not otherwise have encountered or thought of kung hindi kayo pumasok sa MA program?
Ako, parang nung pumasok ako, kasi even before entering the program, so ang mga nabibigay sa aking mga assignment, directorial assignment, ay may mga kinalaman sa ngayon nung pumasok na ako sa program. Ang kadalasan pa lang ina-assign sa akin ay klase ng applied theater, wherein I work with a specific community and come up with a play with them, and advocating their concerns. So ganun yung parang nagiging focus ko lately, na parang my kind of theater, the thing that I do is not just, hindi lang siya, meron siyang advocacy, malakas yung advocacy, no? Tapos nagiging yun ang isang naging focus, yung pagkakaroon ng certain advocacy, na hindi na lang siya basta play, but it should service a very specific concern of a specific community. Yeah. So yun, like for example, case in point, when I did, di ba nangyari yung Yolanda, 2013, PETA has a program na in partnership with the Palo Leyte community. So yung Palo, bilang survivor ng Yolanda, bumalik yung PETA doon, tapos parang inaisip na kailangan matulungan yung community. So nagkaroon ng isang play na called Padayon. It's a play on community risk management. So involve yung community in terms of research, plus nakipag-work sa isang local theater group, yung Pikaw. Tapos in-incorporate yung PETA at yung Pikaw, nagbuo ng isang production. Ginawa dito yung minount muna sa Film Maynila yung play, pero pinapadala na sa kanila yung music, yung tapos pumunta doon yung PETA to rehearse with the group, and then doon siya nag-premiere doon sa anniversary ng Yolanda. So, yung ganung klaseng in a way relevance at connection direct connection sa community. And then it went around different barangays in the Palo area. Yun. In the Leyte area.
So yung applied theater, because of your encounters also with the program, the master's program, mas lumalim ba yung pag-intindi mo, or natulungan ba yun sa yung paggawa ng mga piyesa para sa PETA?
In a way, parang nagkaroon na ng label. At the same time, nakita mo na pag sinabi mong applied theater, nakita mo na yung mga components kung bakit siya tinatawag na applied theater. So nagkakaroon siya ng, in a way, yun na nga, parang dahil dun sa karanasan mo in the past before entering the program, now that you're in the program, nabibigyan ka ng mga tamang terminolohiya doon sa mga practice na ginagawa mo na pala. So yun yung isang kagandahan nung pagpasok ko dun sa program. So yun.
Paul mentioned something like this as well, right? Yung encountering some terms na yung pala yung ginagawa namin noon or something.
Liturgy.
Drama.
As a practice, do we know it as a term? It wasn't. It wasn't really popular when we were students.
No. When we went to the States, parang ganon. Pag nag-ibang bansa na tayo, parang ganon. Doon ko na-encounter siya.
Right.
Pero for you, paano yung any particular direction, like, or ideas that because of your studies?
Well, I've only been in the program for a semester now, but like Melvin, yung apprehension about writing and reading was truly a hurdle. But then the gift of that is you're able not to theorize and to give perspective to things. No? So from somebody from my point of view who's had a long career, that's a lot of things to theorize. But also to identify, or I guess, trends in yourself. So like ako, naisip ko na my theater is really a triangulation of politics, political theater, activist theater, but also some sort of spiritual theater, spiritual practice. I mean, always been yearning for that. So like something like the last thing we did last year, yung Siddhartha the musical, was really interesting for me because getting into the dramaturgy of the Buddha meant, reading everything about the practice, the historiography of it. Ginagawa din namin talaga. Pero nga, I'm really quite interested in that. A sort of the liminality between art and religion. Yeah. Also a little bit in politics nga, I mean, it grounds it. So, yeah, it's eye-opening in that sense and empowering because it gives you words. It gives you parang more concrete experiences to ground these ideas that you want to express.
And also it connects you to references, right? Kung sino pa yung nag-practice and then so it gives you further ideas and lumalalim yung practice. How about the other two, si Fred?
Right now, I'd like to think that the program is taking me to a direction where, I could get to collaborate with other artists. I think that's one thing I realized na you're not just in the program, you're not just enriching your own skills and your own trainings, but you're also encouraged to look into ways on how to offer your skills issues ang pwedeng makater ng mga ng isang performance. So yun yung pinaka na-amaze ako na ang akala mo ang performance ay meant to be consumed lang in a theater, but it somehow it can also help and empower certain marginalized groups. So being classmates with Sir Melvin, Miss Isa Lopez, Manalo Lopez, parang nakakahawa yung ganong drive of empowering communities through performances. And also, parang na-inspire rin ako na since I'm from Mindanao, there are also a lot of groups rin na hindi nabibigyang pansin at kayang bigyan ng boses through theater. So ayun po.
Yes, dagdag.
Yes, sir po.
Yung so fascinating for me to see in the academia the changing quality of truth or perceptions of truth. So minsan nakabasa tayo ng paper 1980 siya, ito yung sinasabi niya. Tapos i-discuss din natin sa class, pero ngayon hindi na ito yung iniisip natin, ito yung mga ganun. So or kailangan isulat yan para ma-update. So ibig sabihin knowledge is an evolving, living thing. Hindi siya set lang na may alam kang bagay, yun na siya. So pwede rin natin siyang hubugin pa, ungkatin pa. So, yeah. Parang yung ideas about Asian theater, di ba? From yung naabutan ko kasi na Asian theater is ganyan, based on a religious, ganun siya talaga tinuturo at that time. But now, we 3 decades later, you can really see how ideas change, evolve. And beyond that, there is still more that we can probably evolve, di ba? There's still more to discover. Especially nga pag mga aspeto ng Philippine theater. Kasi ang marami pang hindi na pag-iisipan, na pag-uusapan, or matagal nang hindi nasusulat. So,
yeah.
Iris, you were gonna say something?
Yes. Prior to joining MA Theater Arts, I somehow already know na I want to act. And I just want to act. I want to get roles. I want to be more honed and ready for being an actor. And I was one of those young actresses who just want to get complex female characters. Like yun yung parang focus lang ng ambition ko. But 2 years into the program, I just found myself actually pulled harder, but more specifically and with more purpose, into that feminist path. And which is now more eloquently and articulately explained to me. I'm more informed about it. Now it's just not a rah kind of feminism, but like what is its purpose? Who are you performing for? And I think the program is pulling me in a direction wherein I want to be an actor in a lot of feminist plays. I want to collaborate with feminist directors, writers, and also devise performances with performance makers who are feminists. And also because of the program, it inspired me to even take further studies after this, maybe an MFA in acting abroad, where I also take it further into, shattering stereotypes about Southeast Asian women or Filipino women or women of color, and be able to be part of productions that confront those issues and also educate the audience about women's issues, especially those of my ethnicity or women in color in general.
Next question natin.
Na-mention na to ni Paul.
Given that we are in this unprecedented time, where we are limited in terms of mobility, we're isolated, how have you responded as an artist or as a practitioner? Have you explored other means of creative expression?
Dito yung panahon, gamit na pagiging com arts student ko nung undergrad. Kasi nga, dahil yung PETA, nung nag-lockdown, we were in the middle of running Under My Skin. No? It's an HIV advocacy play. Nakapag-perform na siya, pero nangyari yung pandemic. PETA had no choice but to pivot sa online. No? So, yung departamento na hinahandle ko ngayon sa PETA, yung Theater Center Program, na dating in charge sa pag-create ng mga live events commissioned by different companies. Now we had to go we had to pivot and create online content for different companies with certain advocacies. So bumalik ulit yung pagka-broadcast and film natin, Tess, Jamias, yung pag-create ng mga content. So yung ganon. So bumalik dun sa ganung klase ng trabaho. Una, para ipagpatuloy yung kumpanya. At the same time, parang yung gamitin yung isang panibagong platform and medium, which is video, para ipagpatuloy mo kung ano yung mga dapat natin i-discuss bilang isang lipunan, di ba? So yun yung mga naging nagawa nitong nakaraang taon sa ilalim ng pandemic era. Yun.
Okay. How about you, Fred?
Nung nagka-pandemic po, a lot of my performances were voluntary efforts para lang ma-continue itong performing efforts natin kahit hindi siya for mass consumption, kahit private lang or just a small group. So, ang isa doon ay performances for Entablado, which is an initiative by the Theater Arts undergraduate students. And I also participated in a video by Karma, campaign against the return of the Marcoses and martial law. Mm-hmm. So, we released a series of monologues online, compiled in a video, which narrated the experiences of martial law victims. And it was released during the birthday of Ferdinand Marcos. And there was also this music video, inimbitahan kami nung co-actor namin na si Ma'am Bebeth or Tessa, to sing in a music video called Sagipin Natin, as a call to protect the frontliners. So yun po.
Okay. How about you, Iris?
Actually, for the first few months of the lockdown, I was drawn to joining online readings. I was fortunate to have friends in groups where they staged online readings. And after a few readings, I found myself actually drained for some reason. And maybe it was because it didn't feel real to me. Na parang I really missed the stage. I really missed the live audience. And what I did was to go back to kind of my artistic roots, parang spiritually, like what did I do when I was not a formal theater student, when I was not actually in a guild, when I was just making do with what I can have. So what I have been doing for the past several months is actually reading books for actors and watching a lot of movies with award-winning performances. So those were things that I was doing when I was in high school, when I was truly idolizing really great actors and actresses. And now it doesn't, it's not necessarily something that where I give an output, creative output, but somehow I think for the past several months I have used it as that time to refuel myself and also to rest from creating, because somehow when you're pressured to create and create and create, it drains you. And right now it's a lot of reading and also reading plays, imagining myself in those characters just as I would when I was a child, and also almost watching a really great movie at least once a day. So and watching actors and making notes like what did I like about that performance. So that's how I dealt with the pandemic as an actor.
How about you, Sir Paul?
Well, on a certain level, I think it really parang the times have given us the opportunity for some cocooning.
Yeah.
Wala tayong choice eh. So you really have to parang be in your space, understand your space, and be with yourself, understand yourself. Routines parang take on a much more significant meaning. Pero as I said earlier, really also about reading, watching. Me, aside from the films and theater that we love to watch, also documentaries and that idea of archiving. So it's also for me, like today, yung side project is trying to organize all the digital photos I have. And, after this just recent, how many years, there's like so many. Andiyan pa sila, some are on DVD or mga iba't ibang USB hard drive ganyan. So that's an interesting process, but I don't know if it will serve anything. Partly, it helps you parang to see the times that have passed, but also to catalog things, organize, find things na parang missing. Pero yun talaga ang hope mo at the end of the pandemic is it will inspire you, or it would have given you the time to write a masterpiece of sorts. Like maybe your King Lear, masulat mo.
Yeah.
Sabi lang nila, maisip natin, sana mabigyan tayo ng puwang at inspiration to create again.
Yeah.
Actually, I do agree. I mean, artists kasi, I mean, we have different stages of coping with the pandemic, and we have various means of expressing ourselves. And I actually think the cocooning that Sir Paul is talking about, and Iris, researching and studying, I think it's also part of the creative process in a way. We don't know where it's gonna lead, but somehow your body, your spirit, I mean, your mind knows that you need to do these things. Like you're feeling your way as an artist, and hopefully it will lead you somewhere.
Gathering.
Yeah,
Just
a
stay
gathering.
focused.
It's nice. It's a nice way to put it.
Being in the celebration of Mata at 40 and having all your experiences, yung wealth of experience at saka pinagdaanan nyo sa programa. Ano pang mga posibleng avenues or the suggestions that you think the program can pursue now that you're going through this program?
I think this was, hindi naman ito bagong idea, pero may kumakalat na idea na sana mangyari siya sa panahon namin, sa batch namin. Mag-create talaga ng isang space for laboratory. And yung laboratory na yon is a platform for expression of the MA students, plus it's a platform for rehearsal for their final production or final creative output, yung ganon. But yung lab na yun, it's just a platform to experiment po, yung ina-ideate or yung mga kinukun na mga ideas, yung mga binubrew na mga ideas, doon ilatag, i-experiment, i-try out kung posible ba, feasible ba yung proyektong ito, yung ganon. So yun yung isang sana mangyari. Na-bring up, na pag-usapan na yan sa isang meeting, whatever. Pero tingnan natin kung mayroong kahihinatnan o kaya kung magagawa namin na mangyari siya.
For me, I really agree with Sir Melvin. I was about to say that we need a laboratory, and we also, I think, in a sense, I hope there will also be lab subjects. Kasi right now we have studies in directing, studies in acting, studies in different topics or disciplines. But I think compared with science courses, there is classroom chemistry and then there's lab chemistry. Those are totally different subjects. And I think it's the same with theater practitioners. Yes, we do have to sit down and have studies in acting, studies in directing, studies in dramaturgy. But I think there must also be an equal amount of units that is dedicated to lab work, wherein you act, or you just direct, or devise. And I'm hoping for that. And aside from that, I'm also hoping for a new subject that is not just acting, but coaching actors. Acting coaching, because I think there is a void for actors who do not have access to formal education or to expensive workshops. So I think having that subject would allow MA theater practice graduates who have focused on acting and also have taken a lab course on a lab subject on acting coaching to be able to coach actors who are young or maybe in their undergrad or maybe just really aspiring actors who in their blood or in their mind know that they are not meant for formal and structured education. So those are my hopes for MA theater practice track.
Fred.
Well, while I'm, I already like the syllabus or the current syllabus of the program, I really hope that there would be a season for Dela UP and UP Playwrights Theater to offer new performances na either staged online or filmed productions na broadcasted through various streaming outlets. So ayun. But I was pleasantly surprised when nag-offer ng multimedia performance course last semester. So I hope na there's an outlet para yung mga learnings namin doon ay incubate namin through a performance in Dulang UP or Dulang Laboratorio.
Just my impression, I would think it would be nice if there was an MFA para terminal course. And or strategically, maganda rin sana kung may College of Theater or College of Performing Arts. Kasi parang nationally, makikita parang mahalaga to. Mahalaga to para sa ating bayan, mahalaga tong isang sining siya, isang mas pwede siyang i-develop. And that comes with the spaces, mga performing companies, and all of this. Just an impression.
Sir Brian. Sir Brian.
Matagal lang sinasabi yung, nung bata pa kami sinasabi natin yun, di ba? Sana sama-sama, dance, theater, film, or something. More like a university for the arts or something like this. A school of drama, thank you, David Esguerra. Yeah. Para talagang parang mas ma-focus mo pa siya. Especially in terms of these creative industries kasi. So one thing na ginagawa ko din recently has been sitting in some of the lawmaking discussions. We've been sitting in the discussions of the creative industry bills. Tapos it's part of all of that, yung structure nun. Mahalaga yung mga sining kung buo siya, like medicine, meron ka hanggang doctor, postgraduate, maraming schools nag-o-offer. Sa atin ngayon, marami-rami ng schools nag-o-offer pero bachelors pa lang or performing arts. The higher we're able to achieve academically, parang ganun, mas malayo yung mararating natin. At saka yung sana, yung pag-expand pa, on a national level. The Zoom online makes it happen now, pero diba, hindi tayo nag-offer nito sa Cebu, sa Davao, so sana meron din.
Yung concretely na medyo yung hindi naman immediate, pero parang medyo mas doable is sana yung program din makapag-accommodate din ng mga other, for example, other practitioners na not necessarily in the faculty, but we can invite them and be a guest faculty, for example, ng directing or ng production design or something. Pero hindi kailangan nasa roster na ng faculty ng buong program. Para lang din merong pagkakataon matuto din sa ibang mga practitioners, no. Yun.
Thank you.
Ayun. So, lastly, nakapagsalita ng lahat naman, no? Lastly, can you share us, naku si Fred, kakabahan na naman dito. Can you share with us any particular research interest or direction you want to pursue? Yung creative research niyo. Ano ang maaaring abangan namin sa inyo?
Yeah. Like ideas, like impulses, no? Kahit pag ganun pa lang eh. Like that you want to pursue further para sa inyong projects.
Fred, you wanna start?
Fred, 299.
Kasi ako na yung pinakamalapit. Well, while I'm still, still thinking about what the final form would be for the creative project. But I recently proposed a documentary performance centered around, a certain community in Mindanao, and which is where I'm from. I'm still looking into what possible form it might take, whether devised ba siya or whether I would, write an entirely different script based on these actual events. But I'm also looking into possibly working with social workers as well and getting in touch with these communities. So I'm guessing there would be a lot of field work, and that's one hurdle that I'm willing to take while we're in this pandemic. So
okay.
When I entered the program, I was immediately confronted with a question about creative project. And to be honest, I was very intimidated because, wait, this is my first month here. Why are you asking me about my creative project? But until now, it hasn't changed yung idea that I have in my mind, which is to somehow similar to Fred, is to either devise or write a play, but focusing on the Filipino body. Like I want to be able, that's my creative project would be something that revolves around the Filipino body. And I think there's a lot of daring into that. There's a lot of challenges, especially inhibitions when it comes to myself. When it comes to that, since I will be performing it myself, and I'm also looking forward whether I can find someone who is focused on directing in the program, a feminist director who would want to collaborate with me for our creative projects. But if not, I'm also looking forward to be able to self-direct myself and be able to come up with the creative project by myself. But yeah, that I think that's something that people can look forward to when it comes to my creative project, is that it's going to be focused on the body of the Filipina.
Okay. How about you, Sir Melvin?
Ako, well, obviously, it's going to be applied theater. Isipin ko lang kung ano namang sakit, no? Kasi nanggaling na ako sa production ng production on ALS, tapos yung like mother, yung mental health, tapos yung under my skin, HIV, tapos yung disaster ng padayon. So isipin ko pa kung ano pang sakit ng bayang ito ang pwedeng i-discuss.
COVID-19.
Pero yun, whatever. Definitely something na applied theater, pero malayo pa ako dun kasi nga one subject assembly lang ako, so hindi ko pa talaga siya pinag-iisipan.
For a project, iniisip ko lang something very simple. Something very simple. An idea that you can hold on to. I mean, given the present situation, I'm sort of fascinated the idea of a technological body, techno body. Also, or the performed body, the filmed body. Kasi baka kailangan himayin natin siya. If not that, if given a chance to have a theater performance, I would love to do something in a quite simple and intimate. Kasi lang, like, nung undergraduate ko, ang laki ng production ng aming thesis. Yeah. Tapos, if I could talk about that a little bit, if you think about it, si Tony kasi he encouraged me to do something. It was really non-linear. It's post-dramatic. It was post-modern and everything way back in 1992. So parang siguro kung babalik ako, I will do, kung makagawa ako ulit ng parang final project, I would want to do something parang evolve from those ideas.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Help number 50.
50. Oo.
Right.
We're opening the...
Yes, I think we have time for questions. We'll get questions from our guests here, our participants here in Zoom. We have some
already.
Yeah, on the chat. I would try to get through as many questions as we can, but if we run out of time, feel free to just communicate with our speakers, no? So maybe they can answer your questions as well personally. So, Tess?
I'll start from Stel Salcedo. As a creator performer, what's your process? How do you prepare for a theater production?
Yeah, I think it's also related to David's question, no, about creative process. Is also interested to hear your creative process in a production.
Well, for me, actually, I really do a dramaturgical approach because my friends will know I'm really interested in history. So type ko yung, ano ba tong subject na to? Ano yung context niya? Ano yung milieu? Para maka-form ng parang position. Pero I enjoy doing a lot of research. The more research, I think, mas mali yun yung nakuha ko, I guess, from my experience in UP na ginagamit ko sa aking practice yung historiography, and from PETA, yung social political context. For any piece, parang alam mo kung ano yung nais mong sabihin or alam mo kung saan mo siya.
Given na yung research, no? Research. Kasi yung material una, karamihan dun sa mga nagawang mga material, whether as an actor or as a director, mga new works siya. So kailangan marami talagang pag-aaral. At yung pag-aaral hindi lang nakukuha dun sa pagbabasa. Minsan merong mga pagkakataon na kailangan nag-i-immerse ka dun dun sa community ng pinanggagalingan mo, ng pinaghalawan mo ng kwento, o kaya makikipag-interview ka sa mga tao na o sector na kung saan nandoon sa text, So iba't ibang klaseng pamamaraan ng pagre-research, pero yun ay dahil you're preparing basically to enhance your stand. What is your take dun sa material, whether that's as a director or as a performer or something. So yun yung lahat ng mga paghahanda which should lead and leads to enhancing your stand or your take as a creator, yung binigyan ng responsibilidad na yon to nabuhayin siya sa entablado. So yun yung yun yung basically nagiging proseso. Like for example, in Care Divas, as an actor there, nanood kami nung mga ilang documentaries tungkol dun sa mga caregivers na yon. Tapos nahanap din namin yung ilang mga Pinoy caregivers na yun na nakauwi na sa Pilipinas. So nagkaroon kami ng face-to-face interaction with them. So parang nakita mo sila, naamoy mo sila, nahawakan mo sila. Kasi sila yung ibubuhay mong mga character. So ganung klaseng mga preparasyon. Yun. Aside from the necessary skills required of you as a performer, as a director, so on and so forth.
Iris?
My creative process is it always starts with the text or with what is being devised, and then there's a lot of research, and I think a huge part of it that is unspoken prior to writing a character sketch or whatever is imagination, because yes, I do read the text over and over again, but at the end of the day, to me as an artist, they are just words on paper, and I have to make them alive in my mind. And so I have to imagine, and somehow always that imagination brings me, of course I portray female characters, it brings me to people, to women that I know or I have seen on stage or in a movie, and also myself. So it becomes an amalgamation of all those women whom I think relate to that character. And I also, my way of research also is, aside from the milieu of the text or the story, I also listen a lot. Because I'm an auditory learner, so I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of conversations, whether I understand them or not, if it's a different language, because there is an energy or a cadence or something that comes from the sound of where it comes from. And so it is after all of those things that I feel like I am ready to actually do a character sketch. And even that character sketch changes all throughout, even until the shows. It's fluid. It's something that changes. It's something that is not permanent. And yeah, and part of my creative process is also to be able to get out of the character after every rehearsal or after every show, and that is very crucial for me. And I think just as much as getting into character is important in a creative process, getting out of it is also very important.
Sa mga naging performances ko so far, ang pinaka-inuuna ko talaga is scheduling, because as performers, as actors, may ugali tayong always say yes, and sometimes yung mga ibang projects natin natatamaan sa rehearsal schedules. So That's one thing yung mga gremlins, mga little problems na ayokong i-encounter or ayokong lumaki in the future, sinusort out ko na siya. For example, I know that magkakaroon ng production ng Dela ang UP at this time. So, hindi ako kukuha ng mga subjects na would require heavy work na maaring interfere with the rehearsal schedules. So, pinipili ko yung mga subjects na kinukuha ko. So, and as OC as it may sound, lagi akong may Excel spreadsheet ng aking schedules para malagay ko kung kailan ako magtatrabaho, kailan ako magre-rehearse, ano pa yung para rin malaman kung kailan ako pwede magpahinga. So, kasi importante rin naman yung ating physical health. And of course, pag nakakapagpahinga tayo na maayos, doon natin nagagawa yung pag-research about the character, pag-memorize ng lines, at saka para rin makapasok tayo ng maaga during rehearsals.
Okay. Marami pa lang, puno ang sked ni Fred. No? We have a question from Fel Salcedo for actors, which ties up to David's other question also. Which character or production resonated the most with you and why? And also, which of the characters you portrayed is the most challenging so far?
For me, the character so far sa lahat ng na-portray ko, the character that resonated with me, funnily, is George De Jesus, one of George De Jesus' characters in Asawa Kabit. It resonated with me because of my experience as a woman who we always feel this competition against each other, not for jobs or opportunities, but for the attention of a man or to be seen by a man. So although it is a comedy and it touched something in me that is very emotional, because I see this kind of dynamic in other women, in a lot of women. So, and because it was also fun to do, and it was a pleasure to do it with Sarina Sasaki as my co-actress. The character resonated with me because I played this character who was very educated yet very insecure. So that's something I could relate with and something that I could play with and not take too seriously, but also take to a professional level of performance. So it was very fun to do. But when it comes to the most challenging character, I would say when I wouldn't say the age na lang, yung year na lang. Back in 2011, I played Maria Clara in Dr. Jose Victor Torres's Ang Mga Filibusteros. So it's based on El Filibusterismo, and it's not the dainty and beautiful Maria Clara. It was the Maria Clara in the convent who was practically distraught and it's not really doing very well. It was challenging not because of Maria Clara's circumstances in that play, but because of my circumstances as a person. Because just a trigger warning. I don't know if you would have to put a trigger warning. I'm a child sexual and rape survivor myself, and to do a role that deals with those subjects, and I was not, the guild. Maybe it wasn't a thing yet at that time. There was nobody who was available to debrief me or prepare me emotionally or mentally for the role. So I just dove in as a very enthusiastic actor. Like, I want this role. I have to do well in this role. And humility aside, I felt like I did a good job at the role, but it took a toll on me. And I would say that was the challenging part, because I felt like I didn't have the technique yet. I was just a young, passionate actor, but I didn't have the technique. So I had to pull from my own trauma and experiences, which I have not yet dealt with at that time. I had not dealt it with yet with therapy and all that. So it was not a settled issue within myself. So right after that production, I fell into a depression. It was a successful production, but definitely took a toll on me. I think that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to do MA theater, because I think exactly 1 year before joining MA theater, I watched Professor Jose Estrella's Dalagita, and I watched Missy Maramara's performance, and I was blown away. And being also that play was about sexual abuse, rape, and trauma, female trauma. She did it in such a way that did not shred me into pieces in my audience share, but it made me empathize with her and understand that character's performance. And I kept talking to my friend whom I was watching it with, and one thing that he said stuck with me, and he said, "That's technique." And that was planted in my mind, that I want to be that actress who, despite my circumstances, my past circumstances or trauma, is able to latch on or use a technique to express my art efficiently and safely. Yeah, that's my experience when it comes to roles that resonated with me and roles that were very challenging for me.
Okay. Anyone else would like to share about you, Sir Paul?
A role. Natatawa si Tess kasi naalala niya I have very funny experiences as a performer. Acting. Pero my first performance actually, Fred, sa Davao. I was very young. We used to have this theater organization there. We used to do mga PETA plays. Naalala ko ang hirap maging actor. So I never really thought of myself as an actor. Yeah.
Ako siguro yung ito, Tess, yung ginawa nating bilanggo ng pag-ibig, napakahirap noon. Napakahirap na role ni
technique
ni Ma'am Jose bilang Jean Janet. Napakahirap. Pero ang sarap-sarap gawin. Yung parang kang, di ba, masokista naman tayo, yung gusto natin ng mahirap. Pero talagang napakahirap, pero napakasarap gawin. So pagkatapos ng mga performances natin, di ba pagod na pagod tayo? Talagang, ay, Diyos ko, ano ba yung nangyaring yun? So, isa yun. Tapos, isa pang Jean Janet play, yung The Maids, na ginawa namin ni Phil Noble, directed by Rostom Barucha, under PETA naman. Yun, napakahirap. Basta si Kumaring Jean Janet. Napaka-komplikado ng kanyang mga material.
Yes, Paul.
Just to add lang, as an artist though, I really recommend finding also some sort of mindfulness practice like meditation. So meditation is the one thing na nagawa ko every day nitong lockdown. Parang okay pala, no? Kasi we have the time for it. And we have the silence for it, and also physical practices that help your mind-body connection. For me, that's yoga. I teach some yoga, but I practice a lot of yoga. So feeling ko nakakatulong siya as an artist, as a human being.
Nakakakalma.
Para mabuhay. Nakakakalma, yeah.
Nakaka-center. Yung isang...
There's something about literally, pag nag-stretch yung katawan mo, nag-stretch din yung consciousness mo.
Oo.
Right.
Yeah. At saka yung ano din, yung emotion mo din, nasa-stretch mo din.
Yes, exactly.
Enduring very difficult positions, di ba?
Yes.
Minsan sabi nila yung emotional trauma natin natatrap sa ating body parts. Like, particularly your hips, your thighs, your shoulders.
Yep.
Andyan yung mga pain mo, mga ano. Yeah, so pwede mo siyang i-discover that way as an actor.
Right. Yeah.
To release those.
Right. So like, and then that's something also that you would encounter, like Gotovsky, right, in graduate school. Okay. Thank you, everyone. It was a very enlightening and also enlivening experience speaking with you all. And I hope for our audiences as well. Sorry mga questions so hindi namin matanong na lahat dahil out of time na po kami. So magbibigay na po kami present na kami ng certificate for the participants. So I will read the first kung anong igagawad sa inyo. Tan, taratatan. The certificate of recognition is hereby given to Paul Alexander Morales for sharing their expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master of Arts in Theater program. Given this 15th of May, 2021, signed by Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, PhD, Dean, College of Arts and Letters, Professor Belendi Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech, Communication and Theater Arts, Assistant Professor Brian L. Viray, MA in Theater Arts, Coordinator, Advisor, and Mata 40 at 40 Project Leader. Congratulations, Paul.
Our next certificate, the certificate of recognition is hereby given to Frederick Simon Layno for sharing his expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts program. Given this 15th of May, 2021, signed Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, Dean, College of Arts and Letters, Professor Belen D. Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech, Communications and Theater Arts, and Assistant Professor Brian L. Viray, MA in Theater Arts, Coordinator, Advisor, and Mata at 40 Project Leader.
This certificate of recognition is likewise hereby given to Melvin Lee for sharing his expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master Arts in Theater Arts program, given the 15th of May 2021, signed by Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, PhD, Dean, College of Arts and Letters, Professor Belen D. Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech, Communication and Theater Arts, Assistant Professor Brian L. Viray, MA in Theater Arts, Coordinator, Advisor, and Mata at 40 Project Leader.
Okay, and last but definitely not the least, this certificate of recognition is hereby given to Iris Montesclaros for sharing their expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts program, given this 15th of May 2021, signed by Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, PhD, Dean of College of Arts and Letters, Professor Belen D. Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech, Communication and Theater Arts, and Assistant Professor Brian L. Viray, MA in Theater Arts Coordinator, Advisor, and Mata at 40 Project Leader. Yan. Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Right. So,
Maraming salamat sa inyong pagbabahagi.
yes, and thank you for all of our guests here, our participants. Thank you for sharing your questions with us, and we hope that you learned as much as we did from all of the insights and sharing from our speakers.
This has been ARTisTALK Series Episode 2 on theater praxis and performance practices. We thank you for watching and listening to our panel of speakers and moderators. Stay tuned for next week's episode on Theater Studies and Research, featuring guest speakers Eman Mante, Alex Ambayek, Roger Federico, and Chaz Caberos. Like this page and follow us on Instagram at UP Diliman Mata to stay updated on the latest activities of this year's celebration of the 40th founding year of the UP Diliman MA Theater Arts program.